Well, we've had some visitors to the garden. Got a lot of animals around here, including bunnies and things, and this is our Brussels sprouts. These are Brussels sprouts, and there were more. You might see the little bits remaining, but they are now gone. The same thing happened with our broccoli. Such is life when you live on 10 acres with a lot of animals. Our little friends here. There's the culprit, eating our cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and broccoli. So that's a little unfortunate, but not to be unexpected, you know. That is part of the way things work. And last year we did garden in the summer, but we didn't start until later on in the summer because I had Galilee in March, and then we didn't, we waited a little bit and then we tried. So this is my first time really going through even May or April or May and seeing what happens in the garden. Last year we just had these 4 beds. And so we went from that to, sorry, let me not whiplash you with my camera, but all of this, which for us is a lot because we're new at all this. So it's good, it's learning. There are easy ways to solve that problem. So we'll do better in the future. But yeah, that's what we got going on. So the space I was showing earlier is actually that patch over there, which basically was overrun with weeds. It was my attempt at making this cute little circle, and I was going to put wildflowers in there and all of that. Except the weeds that I ended up just putting compost over grass, which was a silly idea because the weeds just popped right through. But I decided to go out there and try taking some stuff out, and I actually ended up just planting extra pumpkin seeds and things I have. So we'll see. I'm kind of just gonna let it go and see what happens. But I was checking out my other babies over here. We have our beans. I talked about my whole issue with the bush variety bean in my last video. But they're growing well, so that's great. The tomatoes are doing fine. I just did actually plant some more flowers right here. Since the broccoli got eaten, I was like, well, I'll plant more flowers. So I just was doing a lot of weeding, not a ton exciting was happening, but the weather, let me fix this. The weather is phenomenal because it's overcast and it's not hot. I'm in a long sleeve. So I'm thankful for this. It's going to rain a lot, so I wanted to try to plant some things today and then take advantage of the rain. But let me show you tomatoes. All right, before I found out about these starter tomato plants that my friend wanted to give me from her plant swap, I was just like, whatever, I'm gonna scatter a bunch of tomato seeds and plant them. Maybe foolish, but they sprouted. A lot of them sprouted, so I am thankful for that, but I'm trying to figure out how to best manage that now. But they sprouted, so that's great. All right, so this is actually, I filmed that other video a couple days ago. This is the next day, but I had ended talking about our tomatoes. Here is one of our tomato plants, and as you can see right here, it's been eaten off a bit. So, not sure that's the bunnies too, or what, but I am definitely getting a nice lesson in gardening. All the things getting eaten. But if I show you down the line, here's our line of tomatoes. You can see we have some more back there. I actually did plant some in this open spot. You can see right here. I did plant some there, so we'll see if they grow over time, but this is our tomato row. I do want to plant some in other areas too. All right, I just finished a bunch of weeding, and there is so much more that I could be doing. But as I was going about through the beds, I was noticing some things that, again, could be a bit discouraging. I was noticing, where I had planted some seeds, how I was like, those never sprouted, they should have by now, and I look at my notes from when I planted them to now, it's like, yeah, they should have germinated by now, and they didn't. I was looking at some other plants and noticing the holes in the leaves, or I'm like, bugs are eating these up, okay. okay, that's all a part of it. But there is a level of discouragement that I understand why people don't last as long in gardening. I can see why it comes. But the reason I was thinking about it, because as I was going through all of that, and I was like, man, that is discouraging. I also was noticing things, and I'm wearing my Hospitality is Love shirt because, as you know, Philo, this place, it's the name of our property where we live, and the reason why we bought it is all about hospitality and using this place to serve others. That's why also I garden. Like, that's the whole heart and mission behind it. And hospitality is something that has gripped me as being something that's so important, but it is a hospitality that reflects the hospitable heart of God. My whole reason for it is to say I have received such great hospitality from the Lord, and I continue to, and I want to, from that overflow, offer that to others. And I believe that hospitality can change people's lives. I believe it can change lives. I believe it changes our homes. I believe it changes our communities when we are truly wanting to love and serve and care for other people through the ways that, through hospitality. But one of the things that hospitality has taught me is it has forced me to learn how to pay attention. Because when I pay attention to you, I can show you that I love you, because I notice and I see, and I can see different ways that I could care for you well, right? When we pay attention to one another. But one of the other things that paying attention helped me do, that hospitality has taught me, and it allows me to show hospitality to people outside of just my home or bringing someone in. It allows me to embody it and show it outside of my home. Is paying attention allows me to be more in tune with the Holy Spirit, so that when I'm walking around and I'm seeing people or whatever, I can better hear, like, talk to that person, or help that person, or you need to turn around and stop to that person, or when I'm interacting with friends or my kids, or my husband, like it allows me to see people and to be more attuned to the Spirit's work and like how the Spirit might want me to move or not move in a situation. And so those are all very, very good things. And I also noticed that because of having to practice paying attention, when I'm out here in the garden and I'm looking at all the work I still have to do, even though I've done all this other work and I continue to try. I mean, I'm filming a video now, but I spend way more time not filming videos and out here in the garden than I do filming them, But I was like, man, one of the gifts, though, of paying attention is that, that the bird video I showed at the beginning of this, where I was just watching this bird and I was just staring at it and seeing, can I get a little bit closer to watch and notice, what does it look like? What sounds does it make, if it makes any? What is it paying attention to? Why does it always go to this specific arch trellis? Because I've noticed the bird several times. It's just things like that. And there was this sense of like wonder that was brought up, and then as I continued to pay attention, I talked about that weedy patch that I decided to plant, my squash and pumpkins, not squash, my gourds and pumpkins, because I had extra seeds, and I was like, whatever, like, let's just see what happens. And so as I was going through that patch, though, to weed out some things, because I wanted to take out some of the weeds so that there was a better chance of sunlight being able to hit the plants and all of that, so they could grow. But as I did that, I uprooted one plant and I noticed a spider come out, and I'm sitting there and I'm just staring at the spider because it has this huge sack that it's holding on to. And I'm just sitting there and I'm staring because it's frozen, right? It pauses, I think, as a defense mechanism to try to keep itself safe and blend in, all that. And I'm just sitting there and I'm watching it. I'm just like, look at this thing holding this huge sack that has to be, full of its babies. Like, what? It's just something so beautiful about that. Something so majestic and like wonder filled for me. And I called my son over, and he's a whiz. Like, he loves snakes and spiders, and he reads a book and just retains everything. So he's just looking at it and he's like, I think it's this spider because those types of spiders hold their eggs and da da da. And like, he knows the whole story about him, of course, because that's him. And it was just so amazing, because then he and I are just sitting there staring at it. Just there was something to me so neat to like pause and just be lost in the moment and noticing. And then I began to notice like the mushrooms, and I was like, look at these mushrooms just here. And there's something, maybe because of how we talk about mushrooms in our culture, but there's something kind of whimsical about them. And so I'm just staring like, I don't know what conditions made these things come, and why are they here? And it was just something cool, neat about it. And I was just, I heard a dog and I was like, what? We have stray dogs that come on our property. If it come on our property before, scared the living daylights out of me, but we're okay. But speaking of wonder, Just kidding. But anyway, as I'm thinking about all of that, I don't know, I was just grateful. I was grateful for that sense of paying attention and how it allowed me to be immersed in the moment and the time and to like take that in. And even seeing this like beautiful like purple flower that I was just like, oh, that's amazing. Like I've never seen you before. And again, they're small things, but I feel like it's these small moments that actually gave me great encouragement, because I was like, wait, look at this. You know, certain things aren't happening that I wanted to, but look at this other stuff. And I guess I share that as an encouragement that we are people of hospitality. I want us to be people of hospitality because I think that's really important. And I do think it changes our lives. I think it changes our homes. And I think it changes our communities when we are welcoming one another and being present to each other and dining around the table or whatever it might be. I think that's important. And I think that habit of paying attention, especially in a very distracted world, of which I am 100% guilty and a part of, I very much so struggle with being able to pay attention in ways that I didn't 10 years ago. And it's something I'm trying to actively work against. And I think we all have to actively work against. But I am just so encouraged by when we do take a moment to stop and notice how it really can fill us. And so I just want to encourage y'all in that. I want to encourage you to notice. And maybe your world isn't really in the garden. Maybe that's not where you find yourself. But wherever it is that you might find yourself, I encourage you to, like, if you're standing on the line somewhere, don't look at your phone or whatever, and just notice what's around. And I do feel like God is constantly speaking to us in the things that are around us. I really do believe that he is constantly speaking and moving, and there are so many moments for us to interact, but we miss them, not because he's not present, not because God's not trying to engage, but rather because we are not seeking to see. So I encourage you to do that. Be people who see, people who seek to see and to notice. And I don't know where you're at today. I don't know what's going on in your world, but I do want you to know that you matter. And not because I say so, but because God says so. And like, ultimately, you are an important person. You're not more important than anyone else, but you're certainly not less important than anyone else. And so I pray that you're able to go and live in that today, tonight, whatever. If you're going to bed, may you rest knowing that you are loved, and may you wake refreshed and restored and ready to go and care for others from that place of knowing that you are deeply loved. So bless you. Until next time.